all the schools, and it is no surprise that Sunbeam schools have been ranked number one by Education World on various parameters. Ladies and gentlemen, here I present Mrs. Amrita Burman. Over
Thank
to
you.
you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vasanti. That was such a lovely introduction, and I'm absolutely humbled. So, for all the teachers, and I'm made to believe this is also streaming live on Facebook. So, all the parents, welcome to this. Inspiring mornings. I thought the whole idea was brilliant, and I just hope that it's worth your spending half an hour. I'm going to try and make it worth the deal. So it's an absolute pleasure for me to speak to about 400 teachers. I'm made to believe spread across 5 campuses, and that too an institution which in itself is an institution to reckon with, and with a leader like Ms. Sita Murthy, whom I have heard on a number of occasions, been inspired by. I think she's a leader of great eminence, of grace, and I'm sure that she inspires you all in herself. And I wonder whether teachers who, like y'all, who are self-inspired or find your motivation and inspiration in teachers, whether you need someone like me to inspire you. But I'm going to try. So what I'm going to do is, and when I was thinking, what should I speak to you? And as Sita ma'am just mentioned, I'm just going to be telling you a little about my own experience. And of course, my experience has been at Sunbeam. So I'm going to tell you the story of Sunbeam, which is very close to my heart. So this story, if by towards the end, I hope when I talk about our realizations and our learnings, inspires you a little. So Sunbeam is an institution which is actually 50 years old. We're going to be celebrating our golden next year, which is going to be, I hope, not in the thick of the pandemic, but whatever. We're going to be spending 50 years. And we started our journey in 1972. But I joined the institution in 1994. It's over 27 years, actually, just to correct that I've been, with the institution. And the first part of the journey from 1972 to 1994 was of great importance. The reason is that we were actually not a school to reckon with at all. We were known for all the wrong reasons. I mean, and we were also in a place like Varanasi, which was never, in fact, today it is on the map because of it being the PM's constituency and many other reasons, even on the educational map. But at that time, way back, it was nowhere on the educational map of the country. In fact, people thought that this was a place that was, very archaic, very religious. It was a small town. Nobody really thought, besides a BHU, that school education can be anything to reckon with when it came to Varanasi. So I'm going to talk about this journey from 1994 till about now, how things have mapped and panned. So this journey has been a great journey. It's had its ups and downs. There have been huge learnings, some heartbreaks, some mistakes, but believe me, no regrets. Because we've never really looked back. Once we went on to this journey, we never looked back. So what happened in 1994? I already told you that things were not very good for us. We were known for all the wrong reasons. But there was a desire. A desire was there suddenly when in the new leadership that came up that, we have to change this story. We need to be a school to reckon with, not only because we need to be a school to reckon with, but because it's important that Varanasi gets a good school, and we need to make a difference and probably pay back to the place that we belong to. So we all undertook this journey and we sat down together to understand what is it that we should do. Our limitations, as I mentioned, school was not really known well, and the place was not really known well. We were ancient and we were archaic and temples of learning. Sorry, it was just about a city of temples. And, it was, people used to come here only for religious purposes. So what we did was, we started building our branding story. And our limitations were changed to our strengths. We seized a lot of opportunities. So, for example, as I just mentioned, we were known as only a city of temples. So, our branding tagline became creating temples of learning in the city of temples. Then we always said, oh, this is an ancient town, so what's so new about it? So it became ancient city, modern vision. So we started talking about, the negatives were changed into positives. We actually made a difference. And you know what? This branding helped. People started noticing us. People started taking us seriously. There was a new story that was being written. So people wondered that what's going to be new with this very old institution? So what we realized was that once there is a desire to change, once you really take it up on yourself that you're going to rewrite the story, you're creative and you're innovative, and you make some noise in the right way, the story can be rewritten and you can get noticed. So that was actually our start point. We started branding ourselves in a different way. Then, as the journey kept moving on, we realized it's not just enough to make a noise. Because if you just make a noise, it doesn't work. What's very important is, what are you giving to people who are coming to you once you make this noise? So I can read it in the newspapers, you can go everywhere. People start visiting you, people start coming to you, people may even take admission in your school. But is that enough? What are they actually looking for? So we had to give a backup of very, very good education in our classroom. The basic unit had to really work well. We had to have a progressive and an adaptable curriculum. So the curriculum was revisited. We also had to have a great set of well-trained in all aspects teachers, because they were going to be the backbone of whatever is going to happen in the classes. So in a nutshell, we could be noticed, but to have sustainability, it was very important that the existing schools that we had did extremely well. So we, besides having great work being done in the classes, we had to rebuild or revisit our vision. So we sat down together again as a team. In the meanwhile, we inducted the right kind of people. We promoted our good, young, experienced staff to positions of power and, somewhere that they could influence. And we really managed to revisit what we were teaching in the class, how we were delivering it, and the basic unit, the classroom and the teacher, also got revamped. So at one point, we were, of course, branding ourselves, but at another point, we were also doing some great work inside the classroom. The internal working was completely beefed up. It was replanned. And of course, we realized that branding is short-lived till the basic unit is not worked on. So our main realization was this: not enough to make a noise. Planning, hard work, and a vision is very, very important for sustainability. Next, what we wanted to do and what we actually did, we realized that we have to not only build good institutions, it has to be sustainable, it has to move on for a long time. So let us consistently deliver, but we must not brag at all. There has to be consistent delivering on the promises that we made, but we never over-promised. We never ever, started talking about all the things we would do, so that the expectations didn't become so high that we couldn't meet them. We had all the benchmarks laid down for us, but we under-committed, but we over-delivered. Parents were so happy with whatever we were doing, because we also knew what were our shortcomings. We were still building ourselves. So if we started promising the moon and the stars, it would not come overnight. So realization of where we stand, what we are, was very important. There had to be some understanding of what we were. So ultimately, we started building schools and more schools, but we realized that what's important is that we have to keep our parents, our children happy, not by just making a noise, but by delivering and giving them more that we expected. The more we grew, the more we spread, the more the institutions started coming up, schools started coming up, we also realized something important, that all the schools should have one Sunbeam voice. Every institution was given the opportunity to innovate, come up with their own creativity. But ultimately, when we came out in the public, when we wrote things to parents and to our students, there was one Sunbeam voice. It was very important that at this stage of brand building, our image should be one Sunbeam image. So that was another thing that we worked on. We realized that an open door policy was important again for sustainability. So we started making up, we started creating parents forum. Now, this was not like a PTA. A PTA is there more like a legal standing that we all have to do. For every class, there was a parents forum that was created. Children of all levels, their parents, a small group, came to the offices, came to our conference rooms. We all sat, and I made it a point to go through, and even today, make it a point to go through each and every parents forum personally across, meet parents, meet students, take their feedback on everything from the curriculum to the administration to behavior to security. Every aspect was openly discussed to the extent on how the washrooms were, whether their children were really comfortable and enjoying learning because the physical environment was also conducive to them. So everything was discussed. This feedback mechanism pattern was not only taken seriously, each and every aspect was thoroughly discussed. What was good was implemented, it was brought into being. Everything that we felt is important was taken in. So our feedback mechanism was extremely good. We also realized as a school that it's not enough just to give great CBSE results. At that stage, for us, that was extremely important because it's still building our brand. So we needed to have our children doing extremely well in their class 10 and 12 exams. But if we would only aspire for that, there would be useless pressure on a child. What was important was every teacher in every class unit was important right from pre-primary till the seniors. At that stage, many people thought that it's not so important to take care about pre-primary because you don't get branding from that. But we at the top were absolutely convinced about the fact that we had to work from the grassroots level. Each and every child, each and every class had to perform well. So there was research that went underway in every aspect and every level of the curriculum. The complete precept, as was mentioned by Basunti, was constantly, in fact, done and redone. Every new thing, every new research, once we went, we tried, we tested it, was brought in. So what happened was finally, our CBSE results began really improving, not because there was any pressure, but because the children were nurtured in the right way by great teachers in each and every class. By the time they came to the seniors, their thought process had changed completely. Children were thinking differently. Every aspect of performance of theirs was so much more improved. There was so much of discussion, so much of collaboration in the classes, because right from the beginning, the children were nurtured to question, to think, to experiment, to believe in what they actually thought was happening. So we started improving on our result. What we realized, therefore, was feedback mechanism and taking it seriously and working on it and constantly improving, and to understand that whatever we do is completely child-centric is essential. So our acid test is and always was, if anything doesn't make a difference in a child's life in the school, it is to be dropped. Take only that which makes a difference to the children's lives. The other thing, and one of the most important, was the teachers and the teachers' professional development and enlarging their vision. When we started off, we had all kind of teachers, but we respected them. We realized that there wasn't enough that was done by the institution, and therefore some of them were lagging behind. So it's okay, but you can work on everyone. You can change everyone. It depends on the attitude of the institution, how much we motivate them, how much we handhold them, how much we make our teachers realize that training is the most important. And this training has not to come only from some outside source. It has to be self-driven. We exposed our teachers to the best. We got professionals in to train them. The other important thing we made them realize is that amongst yourselves, you have the best. Just get into a classroom and observe a teacher who is your colleague sitting in the staff room. Don't consider a teacher who's there with you to be any lesser from anyone coming from outside to teach you. So there was an environment of collaboration that was created. Every teacher went into each other's classrooms to learn, and there was so much of camaraderie in the staff room because there was respect for each and every teacher for what they were doing. Teachers started adapting themselves to change. They realized because success was coming in the classroom, the parents were so happy. There was so much of excitement around. Teachers realized that the moment they upskilled themselves, the moment they put in a little bit of effort, the moment they adapted themselves, what about some change and evolved themselves with time, there was such a beautiful response from the child and the parent. And they also realized with time, technology has come in a very big way right now. But for all progressive school like ours and yours, technology has been a very important part. And they were taught and they realized much earlier that technology is a mere enabler, but use it to the best because every child today learns better with the help of technology. We also train them on something very important, which is action research. We ask them not only to teach, but as great teachers, to be researchers. Look at your children as examples and as the classroom as a lab. Look into each and every child's different levels of learning. Understand why a particular child is left behind. We all know that children are left behind, but why? Do a little bit of research on that. Look into data. Look into data of every child and the class as a whole. Where is it that this data shows you that you're going wrong? So do action research, believe in data, do an analysis of this data, let it be like a mirror, and work on improving yourselves on the basis of this data. We also, of course, I don't need to tell you this, but we made it a point that our teachers were not only respected in the institution, but also gained respect outside and in their homes by getting great salaries. And therefore, we had our teachers motivated and there was huge retention. And I think this retention of the staff really made things much better in the school. So now the teachers realized they had to be innovative, they had to be get that humor into the class because they had to make learning interesting and engaging. What we also did with the teachers was there was a great judicious mix between youthful exuberance and experience. The average age of teachers in the school is 40 years, which I think is a judicious mix of youth and experience. So both aspect of teacher community was given great respect. Today, our teachers are excited about personal development and self-growth, and they are on a journey towards excelling. We really don't need to push them anymore because they invest in their own learning in terms of effort and time. School, of course, invests in their training, but it's not all about money, dear teachers. I'm sure your school does hell of a lot for you. I don't even want to mention it. All progressive schools do a lot. And I know Sita ma'am, and I'm sure there's a lot that's being done. But how much are we taking out of it? Are we making the best use of every training that is coming up? Are we then getting excited about what's being taught and are we taking it back to the classroom? I'm sure each one of you all are doing just like my teachers. There was so much of excitement because now their research and their best practices in the forms of articles were getting published in the best magazine. They gained recognition all over India. And there was a personal aspiration and a desire to grow and to be the best in the country. So I'm sure when the institution just does a little, there's just a gentle push that is given, teachers have the capability of really bringing out the best and drawing out on their own potential and getting that recognition because they feel they are doing it for a larger purpose than just because it's a job. I know that for teachers, it's a passion. Every time you do something, the child is there in your mind. What is the difference that you're making in the life of a child? So we learned that human asset is the best asset, and we have to nurture it and invest in it. We had to make it a point that we draw out the best in our teachers. We also believed in maintaining quality. So besides many other things, I don't want to go on because all of y'all are doing it, but we built a quality research and development cell. So this quality cell would go around, observe classes, give feedback, whether it was curriculum or on the delivery. Teachers now became absolutely enjoying the fact that they were being observing. They had to drop the ego. They were absolutely happy with the fact that, in fact, there's a trend at Sunbeam. When are you people coming to observe our classes? Please let us know. How can we improve ourselves? So I think when teachers understand that your growth is connected to the growth of every child, you're like an open book. You're ready to be observed. You're ready to get feedback. You know that every time you get feedback, you're only going to become better. Teachers started traveling. There was micro level planning. And of course, what was most important was we got the right leaders in. Everyone realized that the leaders will make all the difference. So the micro planning helped to the teacher, the curriculum planning, the observation, the quality control, besides the group, was done by the best leaders. We invested not only in time and money, but trust and faith in our leaders. And we realized change all, don't change the leader, and nothing changes. And you don't change anything, but you change the leader, and the best change happens because ultimately we are what we are because of the leaders who actually lead the best set of really, really motivated and inspired teachers. I'll talk very little about students' holistic development because there's nothing new in that. But it's important for me to mention that in our journey, when we started in a town like Varanasi, actually academics was the most important. So parents felt that, padhai ho ja rahi hai, bahut acha hai. When we started doing more than just the padhai, when we started actually understanding that children blossom and bloom when they get opportunity, because all of them are different. I don't want to talk about the multiple intelligence. You all know it. When you get the chance to blossom on the intelligence that you have, you actually start doing well in academics. So academics is not the end. It is actually the way you get the best out of your child in whichever way. You have to look for different ways. Whatever works for your child, you have to understand. Therefore, the teaching that is done in the class has to be a beautiful mix of everything to keep the excitement on for the child so that he's always up and above in your class, looking for that moment when he's going to get inspired because of the way the teacher delivers in the classroom. Almost towards the end, I want to talk to you about the pandemic. During the pandemic, like all of us, I think each one of us had those initial hitches, and then I think each one of us really caught the situation and came about with, absolutely victorious, because I think each school, all the progressive schools are doing a brilliant job. I'm sure each one of y'all have worked extremely hard to get the best to your students on the online platform. We are also, besides working on the online platform, already working and planning for the blended format, how things have to come about. And we are working a lot during the pandemic on the social emotional learning. Actually, social emotional learning has been an important part at Sunbeam. About, say, 15 years back, that was another realization that if you really want to touch your child's soul, for the child to really do well, You have to understand what the child is going through. And I think during the pandemic, all our social emotional learning has come to the ultimate test. And every teacher in the school already trained as a pastoral guide. Each one of our teachers are trained as pastoral guides. They all know first-hand counseling. They can flag problems. Our counselors have, of course, beefed up their counseling completely. Each and every teacher of ours has gone in for grief counseling in the past 2 months, because grief has been huge in the second wave of the pandemic. But we realized that we have to see to it that the attitude is right for learning. So what was initially very tough for us in terms of getting the teachers together to ride the pandemic, we realized that what we had worked on for years together, where we had given them an attitude to change, to adapt, to take up challenges, this huge challenge was taken up by the teachers with excitement. There was quick adaptation to this change. So, what do we really want to be known as now? We need to be known as a school that is humane and emotionally sensitive. We are certified as a safe and sensitive school to the needs of students, parents, and of society. We believe in teamwork, but we believe that the we is as important as the I. Because in all this collaboration and teamwork, somewhere, we realize that the I also gets hidden. So you can't hide behind the curtain of the we, that we are in it together. Yes, we are in it together, but the I has to take onus for all that does not work well, because finally it's all the I's that make the we. We also want to be known as a school that takes calculated risks and but follows its gut. We want to try new things, but we don't at this stage want to do anything which is not conducive to the child in any way. But adaptation is important. And we are very, very comfortable and confident of what we do. But at the same time, we keep our ears to the ground. So this has been our journey, and many feel our success story, but I don't see it like that. I simply look at it as a journey where the path keeps changing and the destination keeps moving ahead. Because whenever we feel we have achieved what we set out to achieve, we realize that the definition of the destination has changed completely. And then we start once again. So I hope that this was, though no rocket science, but I hope these little things will help make a difference to all progressive schools. And at the end of it, it is the teacher who is the alchemist in this complete journey. Before I end, I just want to end with a little story. As she mentioned that I'm a storyteller. Actually, I just love telling stories because I feel it's the best way of getting things across to students. So let me tell you this little story of Ramayana. I'm sure all of us, of course, know that Sita was abducted, taken to Lanka, and Ram, of course, sought the help of the Vanar Sena, the monkey army, and all of them came down to help him. So they were all standing at the tip, and looking at Lanka at a huge distance, and between there was this vast ocean. And they were wondering, how are they going to, kind of go there all that distance and get Sita back? So they were right there strategizing, thinking, how is it going to happen? So everybody was in their little groups and trying to think about how this is going to happen, quite perplexed. So what happens is, we have these little monkeys, the little waners, who go pretty much to the edge of the ocean, and they kind of get excited. I think we'll manage. And then they put their foot into the water and they get scared and they say, oh God, I don't think this is not good. It's not our cup of tea. We're not going to be able to do this. So they all kind of run helter-skelter. It's impossible. Not our cup of tea at all. Then comes Angad. Now, Angad was the crown prince. Now, he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's the crown prince, so he has to prove himself. So he goes again, puts his foot into the ocean a little, looks at Lanka, sees it at a distance and thinks. He says, well, I think with all my training, I'm going to manage to go to Lanka and get Sita back. But you know what? I think I don't have the power to come back. I can just have the energy to go, but not to come back. So sorry, this is not my cup of tea. So even Angad gives up. Now what happens is Hanuman, he's sitting in a corner, saying nothing. He's quiet. So Jamban, the wise old bear, and the teacher actually, he comes, puts his arms around Hanuman and he says, Hanuman, all this discussion is happening. So many people are talking about what they can do. What about you? If if I'm right, each of us here know that there is only one person who can do this. The strength lies only in you. You're the only one who can easily go, get Sita, probably even destroy the whole of Lanka, and come back victorious. So, why is it that you are quiet? Why is it that you're not understanding your strengths? So, see the beautiful things that happened in this lovely story. In the beginning, even the little monkeys, Angad and the others, were given the choice, as students should be given, to self assess. First, look for your own internal strengths as a child. That space has to be given by us teachers. Once they self assess whether they can do it or they can't, they realize their own strengths and weaknesses. And then, as teachers, what Jamwan did, he told Hanuman, you have the potential. I know you well. I know every aspect of your strengths and weaknesses, and I know that you will be able to do it. And therefore, he not only motivated him, encouraged him, but drew the potential out of Hanuman. As a good teacher, he helped Hanuman in becoming the best that he could. And after that, we all know the story of what Hanuman did once he was inspired to undertake this journey. So I think there's so many lessons in this little story for all of us like teachers. We have to be that Jamwan in the class and help our children to draw out the best. We can only be facilitators. We can't do anything much. But once we make the child understand the power, miracles happen. We know that. So to end with a small quote, true teachers use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create bridges of their own. I just love this little quote and I thought I'll share it with you. So I hope that has been of some help to each one of you all. And I hope that has been this morning talk, which I think is a great idea. And I'm going to borrow it from you, Sita ma'am. I think it's a beautiful idea. I hope that it's going to make some amount of difference in your life as a teacher. And with that, I want to salute each one of you all because I know, just like mine, each one of you have probably put yourself to the ultimate test in this pandemic. But I must tell you, each one of you all have come out as heroes in this fight. Thank you and Jai Hind. That's what we say at Sunbeam. Jai Hind.
Outstanding, Amrita, outstanding. I mean, simply spellbound. And I don't think I missed even a bit of it because it was so inspiring. And I think for this inspiring morning, you have done more than justice. And I can see the chats coming with fantastic compliments, appreciation to you. Basanti, would you like to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm on the edge of my seat with goosebumps. Okay. And I just felt that, we had a mini manual of 27 years shared with us in brief time. Every time ma'am was speaking something, I was thinking, wow, this must have taken a lot of time. This must have taken a lot of time to, make schools what they are today in Sunbeam. I have so I wrote down many lines and words. One thing that stayed with me is one voice.
Yeah.
Everybody having one voice. So, ma'am, can I request you to share something? Like today, we have all the old members and new members who have joined us this year. We are 5 schools, and having one voice is our endeavor. The training that we have started 3 days ago. So all the sessions that we are doing is in this pursuit that all of us have one voice. I remember when I joined 3 years ago, all these words were like little intimidating initial days, like, this character, competence, and many other words were little intimidating, even though I had experience, I had worked with Silver Oaks. So, but one thing I knew is we have to have one voice. So what would you say to our team members regarding this? Why is it important, and how can they deal with if they feel pressurized about this?
So actually, I think it's very important for every institution for success, if I would dare to use that word. For success, it is very important for every institution to have one character, one soul. So it's like it's a very simple thing. When I see it as my example with so many institutions, there can be one parent body. If I don't want to say, in fact, I don't own the schools. I'm just working just like many of you all. So obviously, there is a parent. There is a parent body. Let me say that way. Okay, there is a parent thought. Let's put it this way. So the parent thought has to be one. The aim, the mission, the vision has to be from the parent body. Everyone else, given their space to think differently, because sometimes when you tell everyone you should have one voice, teachers say, oh my God, I'm getting pressurized into just doing what you asked me to do. I need my space to innovate. So the whole curriculum, everything has been designed in such a way that certain minimum standards, for example, have to be maintained, because there are some Sunbeam standards, and I'm sure it's the same with Silver Oaks. There are certain standards because people come to us for those standards. You can't go lower than that. That's absolutely a no-no. But after that, you can innovate, you can bring out the best. That's one aspect, of a little bit of flexibility, but yet one voice, one image. The other thing is, if you really feel that this one voice, one image there's something not okay with it, you want to change it, it's okay. Please come again to the parent body, sit down with us as the board. We have the board in Sunbeam. Come, discuss with us. We are ready to listen to you. And we are also ready to drop anything that is not really relevant today, or anything we would like to add into our main vision, if you feel that's going to make a lot of difference to the complete Sunbeam as a whole. So one voice is important because it is the soul of the institution. We have to come up with one united voice. Another reason that I'll just quickly finish this is that nobody, once you grow big as an institution, no outside party should be able to creep in. If you don't have one voice, that happens, should be able to creep in to create differences amongst institutions, because after all, there are human beings all manning. No differences can be created. So there is a positive aspect. You innovate, you come back to me, tell me what change I want to do, but there is only one soul. There is only one image that we have to take of Sunbeam. That cannot be compromised with.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing that with us. So on behalf of the entire team of Silver Oaks, I sincerely express my gratitude that you're coming here and sharing your story with us. We are truly, truly inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be able to speak to so many teachers who I'm sure have years of experience. And I'm absolutely humbled. And I would like to excuse myself for, talking so much in front of all of you all, because I know finally it is the teacher community that makes us leaders also. We are here because you are there.
Amrita, that was absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy that you accepted my request to speak to our team here. I can resonate with so many of the things that you said, but there's so much to learn. I'm sure each one of us have a lesson to take back from what you just shared. Uh, One day in future, we'd like to have you come to our school, to our campus, speak to us directly. Though, in a way speaking, that would have been a relatively difficult thing, but online we could make many things possible. But
Yes.
one day we'd like to invite you to our campus and have you
Sure.
speak to all of the team
I'll
members.
be honored. I'll be honored.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me over. Take care.
So, lady, thanks, Basanti, for hosting this session. It was wonderful. We will take